the hardest working podcast in Portland, Oregon, man.
Play no
Game. What's up, you guys? It is Cartier Bob here with another installment of Relationship Dynamics. One of the future greatest matchmakers in the Pacific Northwest. Out here yet again, talking with all sorts of people from all different backgrounds, sexuality, relationships, creeds, as we talk about how we can move our culture forward with having softer relationship dynamics. So, y'all already know me, CB. I'm a fresh 31. I'm still kind of in the streets, but I'm single. And we have some other glorious people on the show today. And we'll start with, oh, wow, I you're on a show I know. Oh, what could you introduce yourself to the conversation?
I'm Arthur, 30, single, ready to mingle. Is there something else I'm supposed to say with that? Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, we got this. We got some new energy in the room. Who do we have in the middle?
I'm Sarah. I'm 33 and I am single.
So I want to start things off warm and easy because everyone has their hands in the pot when it comes to dating. Everyone has an opinion. Literally everyone has an opinion. Now, I'm not trying to say what I do personally, but I feel like my opinion matters the most because I be studying it. But this is why I actually really like relationship topics, because not everyone is right or wrong, because all relationships matter. So it's always really good to hear nuance and different opinions, because that's how you get better. That's how you become a master. But anyway, soft question. Would you rather the first date be an active date or a coffee date? I'm curious. What y'all think? What would be a good first date? An active date or a coffee date in this day and age?
Oh, coffee. Well, coffee date is not, that's like too basic, but that's because I'm not like an super active person where I'd feel comfortable being active in front of somebody I am into, in fear of that they're super active, which is that would be mortifying. So I'm gonna go coffee date by default.
That okay.
I was kind of going like, I wouldn't say coffee date because I'm an active person, so I kind of have to like agree with aspects of what she's saying. Like, it really just depends on the conversation. Like, if the conversation is like we both active and it's a active setting, I'm an active person, so I'm like, absolutely, we're gonna go bowling or we're gonna go do golf or something. Like, we're gonna go do something active. But when you find yourself meeting with someone who's like, I'm just gonna chill, I'm not really competitive, I'm not, then it's like we just gonna do something, sit down in person and really get to know each other on that aspect. So I think they kind of agree with what she's saying. Is like, it really just depends on how that conversation goes and how it flows, and where the mindset is between the two. So,
and this is why I had to have Sarah on just for this, because it's so interesting that you said coffee date. I don't know if you could definitely, because you're not speaking for all women or anything like that,
Right.
but like, I don't know how many times where I'm like, all right, I want to get to know this person, and I'm like, yeah, I know there's actually like a dope coffee space, not like Starbucks or anything like that, coffee and a walk, and they're like, is that all you're gonna do for me? Like, put some effort into it. Like, is that really such a bad thing to have like a coffee date?
I don't think so. It's like very, basic's not the right word because you're not basic. No, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's more focus on conversation, and that can make people uncomfortable. Whereas activity, you're it's just a different energy. I don't know how to describe it. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely know what you mean. Something coming up for you?
No, I mean, I think like, especially like when you come to that terms, I think a lot of people who there's aspects of like that dating life that is like cliche of like, oh, that's how you gonna treat me, that's how you see me. And I think it goes back to what we originally talked about. It's like it just depends on the conversation, right? Like if you feel like that's not enough, that should have been present in the conversation beforehand before you initiating that first date initiative, right? Like, and I think that's important. People are just like, let's just go on a date and figure it out. And it's like, you don't ever know what space or whatever time or place how that's gonna affect you. Ooh, in my past, I hated this, and so I don't know why I want to do this again. Like, my bad. I'm not like, so it's like, to me, like I would do something like that. Let's go get coffee or something, and let's go take a stroll around Washington Park and do something nice like that. Like that to me is a cool little date. You get to have that conversation. You have something warm in your hands, so it's not too cold, especially during wintertime. Like I think it'd be a nice little setup. So yeah.
And I'm just curious before we move on, to keep it short and simple, because this next thing we're gonna talk about is like traveling the globe as we speak right now. But I'm just curious, and whoever wants to go can go, and you can pass. What's the best first date you actually been on, and it's what was memorable? You're like, that's what's up. What was the best first date y'all been on?
That's a tough question. Because I don't I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like probably the best first date-ish that I went on was to the art museum.
Mm.
But I like art, so it was my I said, "Well, let's go. You haven't been." It was some new exhibit, and it was during COVID, so it was real quiet, and it just we had a lot to talk about afterwards. There was stuff to take in, so there wasn't a total pressure on the conversation, but we were able to carry it after, outside of the date and discuss further, art and just our interests and things like that. So, yeah, that'd probably be it for me. I don't know. What do you think?
Again, I'm an active person, so mine was ground. We went to Ground Control, which is the arcade place, and it was like very high energy, very fun. It's a long night, and like just the excitement of being in one's presence. You sure able to have that conversation, but there's something that you are specifically talking about. Usually, sometimes it's the game. Sometimes you're reliving some of those good old memories of like childhood. So you're getting to like experience things with someone in that aspect. And it was super dope. Like it opened up a lot of great conversation afterwards. Like we stopped and got some food after, and it just like opened up a lot of conversation about childhood and games and just like little stuff like that. Like I'm not a big gamer, but like I felt like for me it was fun to like just break out of my own shell in that aspect of doing something that I'm not really good at too. And compete, and I'm competitive, so like it was fun. So absolutely, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Why? What was yours?
Oh man, damn.
Now you have to go.
Damn, I was really about to skate out of that, to be honest with you. Well, I'm an experienced type of a guy. I like to tailor all my first dates to my date as best as I can. But let's just say she's not giving me much. I'm very much an atmosphere person where like we got to do one thing and then we got to slide and do something else. And I'm thinking of a person I will not mention, but my idea was there's this one location, I don't give out locations, where it was like a very like hotel bar-y where like we could play Jenga, we could have drinks, and we did that. After we did that, then we slid to that s'mores place where you can get s'mores. It was cold, so it gives me an excuse to be like, come here, girl. It's cold. You know what I'm saying?
In my head, I'm mapping this out.
Please, because it's in close proximity to each other.
Yeah, right.
So like, and for example, I'm such like a hybrid type of a person where like I want to see what it's like when you're in play, like when we are having fun and competing. I want to see what it's like when we do slow it down, because I love deep intellectual conversations, and I get to see how this person just interacts when it's low key. It's not Jenkins, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna buy this for me," and I'm like, "Who's gonna pay for the check this time?" You know, like, I want you to have fun. I want to see like what you're like because, um, that's just me. That's just my vibe. So I would say it was self-created. So usually I create all the dates I go on. So I gave myself back for that one. Now, am I talking to her? No, because God is good. That's why. Yeah. so our very first song.
Oh my
That's
god.
Bob. That's Cartier Bob.
You know what? Put some respect on my name. Don't. Oh, I thought you were pressing the button. This is a different segment. You represent Play No Games right now. You should. Sorry, I gotta mute that person. Sorry, mother. All right, our very first question that is currently talked about a lot, and I kind of want to open up the forum is your thoughts if a person can house masculine and feminine energy. That is currently talked about a lot. Masculine energy is talked about in a certain way, feminine energy is talked about in a certain way, and I have a theory. But before I kick that to you guys, I'm just curious your thoughts if masculine and feminine energy can be in one person, or is it just this, or is that like black and white thinking? So I'm just curious.
Uh,
I can go my theory.
I mean,
If you want to expand on it, I think that will help.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Expand.
So
Rub
my
it in.
working theory is masculine and feminine energy do exist, and I would say currently right now in our culture, it's a very like heavy hand on like masculine, like it has to be like this. And when I look at masculine energy, it's very to me like you look forward, like you need that to like be successful. Like I'm focused on this point. Sometimes when I think of like feminine energy, you open up your blinders, you open up yourself to like multiple other things you can see on the side. And I think you need both because there's a finesse that you got to have that I feel like feminine energy does really well that masculine energy can't. And I feel like when we as people, whatever or how you gender identify, when you do not welcome both those energies into your body and how you move, you get this I'm a hyper independent woman or I'm a high value top G type of a person. And it gets all these other things that come out where you actually need both those things to actually be successful in relationships, business, because I know a lot of cool dudes who don't have to be like, I'm that dude. They can walk into the room and i.e. Deion Sanders. I believe there's feminine energy on how he uses it in his own way, where he's like, I don't have to, because I don't think you can lift up young men like that without having that, because he submits to someone, his wife. But that's not here or there. But that's like my working theory.
So that brought up to me like, for example, like a male having a daughter, right? And so like you talk about this masculine and feminine energy between it, that you have the dudes that play dress up with their daughter, and I feel like that's an aspect of feminine energy, giving their daughter what they're asking for, kind of submitting to the daughter in that in a way, getting their toenails painted by the daughter, whatever that the case of like when it comes to feminine energy that you see. But a lot of times they give that to their daughter. When they give it to their son, it's a lot more masculine. It's about we tough, fight this, whatever. And so I feel like parenthood shows off a lot of both aspects of, and I don't have no kids, but I feel like it shows off a lot of masculine and feminine energy because you have to, especially having boys and girls. Like you have to, you treat them differently in aspects. Of course, there's like tough girls and all that, and but you still like they say a father's heart to his daughter is a thing, and I feel like that's another form of feminine energy that you're giving to your daughter. You're softening up, so to speak. Yeah.
I guess what I will share is probably just from personal experience, and you sort of touched on this earlier, but leveraging different energy in different aspects of your life. I think about it a lot with work as a woman. Sometimes you have to develop a little bit of masculine energy to push yourself forward, right? Or further your career. I have I listen to a lot of the male leaders in my company, because I can see, they're successful. They're not afraid to ask for what they want. They are much more direct than maybe I am, as a woman. So I think that's probably where I see it most frequently. Um, I don't. That's probably totally different from what you would see it though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a dope acknowledgement. Wow. I can't even freaking say it right now. Analogy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because as a man, we don't. At least for me, I don't see that aspect
You
of
don't
it. So
see
it's
it, right?
it's refreshing to hear that perspective and say like I have to transfer my energy to become more masculine in this environment to show like I can be in a room with men and be present and express myself how I need to be
Mhm.
expressed.
Mhm.
I think that's dope. That's dope to hear. So respect.
All right, we got some future politicians in here. Look at y'all. Y'all so like, all right, this is gonna be on the internet. All right, so what is this?
Are we too PC? I
No,
mean,
this is totally fine. Well, I'm gonna make it on PC. So how does this play out in relationships, y'all think? I'm talking about strictly romantic
sure,
relationships
sure.
where like, let me hold you like that.
I mean, I'm probably just, I guess you want to call it old fashioned, and that's fine. I like, you know, being the girl and playing I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but more of a like a stereotypical, just being the girl in the relationship.
How dare you?
I know. I sort of like, simple gestures like a guy opening the door for me, or uh, bringing flowers, things like that. It's old school now, which is weird to say, and I'm okay with being open to different um gender stereotypes. I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm more old school.
I think there's a moment in time for everything, right? Like, I think there's aspects of. I think we've had this conversation before, um, where sometimes your lady needs to tell you to shut up, like, and
Episode?
I feel like in that sense of assertion, like that could be in my aspect a form more of like a masculine energy, like being able to take control, like you said, lead the pack. And so it has to be kind of like a balance, so to speak. Yes, most women most of the time want the man to lead, but I think there's aspects of like exchange, like
I agree.
Yeah, I like that I see this is why I got this guy on the show. I like it. So this challenge is what I wanted to bring up of like, yeah, I'll say stereotypically we want a man to take control, right? But sometimes, I'm putting my hands in the air. They're like, I need you to be doing this, and all these things. And you're like, but I thought you wanted me to take control. So my thing is, let's just say, I know you said you like getting flowers, right? What if?
Yeah, as an example.
Yeah,
For
example.
sure. Yeah.
This is not her in real life. Everyone who's watching, she's
Not me at all.
exactly. So let's just say if your guy, let's just say, and this is open form, not just Sarah. Let's just say a guy is, in his masculine energy, but then he's like, I want to be the little spoon, or like, or like, I want some flowers. Why do you think, or is it, and I don't make a generalization, do you think that's a turnoff to women? Because I hear about it, not saying you said anything, but I'll be hearing some time being like, I just want him to be, not ever that.
Yes. And it's not a turn off. I would not say it's a turn off by any means, but it's I think I don't really know. I mean, I'll just say it's not a complete turn off. Now, if a guy asked me for flowers, for example, I would think that was a little strange, but I wouldn't be too set in my way to not be okay with something like that, right?
Hey, I'm a firm believer of like, I would say for me, I traditionally want to like lead in my relationship, but I have zero problem with my girl taking over, because for me personally, I want to see, oh, you can take over. All right. That actually turns me on. I'm like, all right, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. Because I think it's like a dope balance that we all have to have, because let's just say, um, when we talk about emotions, like people are like, oh, I want you to express your emotions. And I feel like where a lot of guys get messed up with that is like they'll be in a relationship with someone and they're like, oh, express your emotions. And then you express your emotions and then you be like, oh, you punk bitch. Like, and now that's
Mhm.
now that's ammunition where you're like, ah, damn,
Mhm.
I gotta be tough around this person all the time. And I'll flip the switch to like talk about like more male stereotypes that guys do to women, but like the whole stereotype of I want, he's got to be a thug, he's got to have a 401k plan, and he's got to be able to bring me flowers. And you're like, oh yeah, give me, yeah, that works for me. But those things contradict each other, because he can't be in a gang, but and he also can't run a Fortune 500 company, and he also can't save the kid from the burning building. He's got to choose one. Is he Thugga Thugga or is he Farnsworth Bentley?
So I kind of want to go back to you talking about before, because I've received flowers before. I didn't ask for them. I just received
Wait,
them.
what kind?
I don't know. I don't know.
What about what color?
Uh,
We'll
they were
start with
like
there. We'll start
they were
with that.
like purple and white flowers. I think they're daisies. I don't know. They're like they
Aw.
kind of bloom.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't know, but they were given to me as a gift, and they were like, here's some flowers for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, dope. Put them in a vase, put them in my house. And for me, I didn't take it as like I wasn't like searching for them, but I
Mhm.
think the gesture for me meant a lot more than, oh yeah, once she leaves, I'm throwing these flowers in the trash. I was like, nah, out of
Right.
respect, I'm gonna keep these flowers. And so I think it's more, in my opinion, the gesture of that says a lot more than what you're actually receiving. Um, and so, am I gonna go on my way and be like, hey, babe, I need some flowers? Probably not. But if she came home and was like, hey, I got some flowers, nope, I got a vase. Here you go, put them in. Like that. That's a little bit different.
Like
So
you didn't feel emasculated by that gesture.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's probably one of the big things too is would somebody take it as a form of emasculation if you were to gift flowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, are you asking me?
no, I mean I'm putting that out there. Like
Yeah.
would somebody take it offensively?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's very personal too. Like it's like, because to me it's just a gesture, a gesture
Mhm.
of kindness, a gesture of respect, and gesture of like, I want to show you something different. And it's like, hey, I'll take it. Like men want gifts too sometimes, and I think women lose that sense of like opportunity to surprise your husband or surprise your partners, give them something that they might want. And I'm not saying all men do, but you know, sometimes women don't understand that that gift might get you 5 gifts. You know what I'm saying? And because it's like, oh, you know what, she thinking about me. Let's go get this, that, this, go get this for her and that for her, just because I just want to be nice today. And I think that also might,
It's that easy.
no, not always, not with everybody.
Joking.
No, I don't feel like that's the way with everybody, but I think a lot of men is like the gesture of thinking of me is make me want to think of you more.
Totally. It's like getting a good compliment. It just fuels you, right?
Yeah.
I get that for
Mhm.
sure.
Oh no, we guys, we are, man, we are a bunch of simps. Like I'll say this right now. If like if a girl would go on a first date would be like, oh, I got you this like box of like or candies or something like that. You know how often guys be like, oh my gosh, she did this for me. Like, bro, she's so into me, and that will get you like 3 more like dates where you're like,
Oh, I'll tell you. Sorry.
go ahead.
I like to pay for the first date.
What the fuck?
It's the best surprise. Guys are always so shook. And like it could be coffee or dinner or whatever. And I'm not saying that every opportunity I get I'm going to take it, but if things are going good and I feel like things are heading in a positive direction or we're just having a good time, I'm so happy to. And I think it throws guys off their game a bit. Not that that's the goal, but
It does.
it's funny to see their reaction.
I was like, back at it again. Back at it again with the credit card swipe, young squire. No, that's very like I'll say this. Recently someone got me a birthday gift I wasn't expecting.
What was it?
It was just something small. Like this person got me like some
You
candy.
can't leave us on a cliff like that.
Hey, look here. I'll get back to you in February because if it goes where it needs to go, put my jersey in the rafters. But
Somebody.
look here. All I gotta say is,
This is turning into investigation discovery.
absolutely. All I gotta say is, I went to my group chat. I was like, y'all, I'm in there. I'm in there. She was thinking about me to like do that and things like that. And I think that like, not to make it just like gender, but like just that effort in like, hey, I'm trying to get to know you, because when you set the table of like, this is like open, like you get the best versions of someone to figure out if this works or it doesn't work, because the whole like, who pays for the bill, all this other stuff, that whole masculine, feminine thing, which I was wanting to talk about, is like throwing things off. Like, yeah, you got to do things to make yourself feel feminine, masculine, all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, we're missing the point of like, how are we getting to know each other? Because we actually need both these things. Because if you're like, those aggressive guys who just like,
Yeah.
I want you, but they don't know anything about you. And you're like,
Yeah,
ew,
it's like Instagram.
what? You don't say?
What? Who would have said?
My
Guys having
goodness.
conversations with themselves.
Oh, wait a second. You got some ghosts. You got some people having conversations with
Like
themselves.
5, yeah, like a whole 5.
Damn.
My numbers are really high.
Oh, I can
5
tell.
DMs.
I
No,
can
I don't
tell.
know.
But this is not about.
I don't mean it like that.
Oh, it's okay. Hey, if it ain't tricking,
A
it
little
ain't
bit.
got it. But this is not an exposure. I want to actually segue us into this next piece, because I feel like it's a perfect segue of this perfect people to talk about it with. Knowing what's the borderline between knowing your worth versus being entitled?
Interesting. Knowing your worth or being entitled.
That's a really good question. This was one that I thought, I'm not going to have an answer for that right off the bat.
You got any thoughts?
I think there's so many thoughts. So it's important to know your worth. Yes, absolutely. But I think it's also important to reflect on that and how you treat other people, right? So like if I'm like, yeah, I'm too good for that. That's, I think, of more of a self-entitlement aspect than to knock someone else down because of where you put yourself at. And so I think that's where for me, I draw the line. It's like, yeah, now you just acting entitled. And you might be a 10, but the way you act, man, puts you down to a 6. Like just on your personality alone. Like I can't. And I think, like, especially like when people are like, that date wasn't enough, and it's like, you don't.
That is awful.
But my thought is like, you get that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when you like offer a date, and it's like, you didn't put no thought or effort or energy into it. How are you going to tell me what I put into this?
Right,
and I think
right.
that is also that knowing my own worth and knowing your own worth and feeling that self-entitlement. Because what if you go on this date and it comes out to be amazing? You never know. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of where I've kind of taken that question. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and the question or the word that I'm getting from that is effort. If somebody is putting an effort to do something special for you, that's a differentiator. If they're just doing it because they have to do it, or going about things blindly, and you're feeling, this isn't enough. I'm worth more. That's the big difference, right? Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
So I have to give y'all a real world example because this is how bad things are in the streets. Now, y'all know me. I got a, you know, I got a good resume. Like, someone's like, "Why are you single?" I be asking the same questions. I be asking the same questions. These people, I promise you, I save these things not to like get back at people, but to show you just how like ridiculous this is. So I matched with this person on Hinge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cute person, whatever. So on her Hinge, it was like date ideas, and one of her date ideas was like going to the Japanese garden. And my initial response to her was like, "T at Japanese garden, why are you giving away free game?" Great line, CB. Great line, CB. And she's like, haha, that's great. So I told her, I followed up with like, how am I going to surprise you now? She's like, I don't know. So my next thing, because I'm just getting to know this person, I'm like, all right. And I said, I'm pretty resourceful, but how's your weekend going? And her immediate response was, dude, ask a better question. I said, what? I immediately said, because I had to count. That was one. Actually, I immediately said to her, it's hard to ask better questions when you've literally said 7 words.
Right.
And I said, be a normal, compassionate human. And then she's like, I can't. I'm a woman of color trying to date. I can't. I'm a woman of color trying to date in Portland. And I immediately unmatched her because I was like, you are crazy. These are real messages. I'm not making these up. I'm not giving you. Yes. I said, you're a psychopath. She said, ask a better question. I don't know you like that. How's your weekend going? It's Sunday. We're closing down shop. What did you do? Give me a snapshot. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where, like, the entitlement kind of question comes from. Where, like, I'm like, by all means, right? I get it. We're like,
Yeah.
that was just a jackass move.
It's also a two-way road. Contribute to the conversation. If you don't like it, change the narrative.
I talked about that. In one of our episodes. I was literally like, I think a lot of people just put pressure on one person to make a conversation entertaining when it takes two to tango. Like, if you want to be entertained, ask something that's going to entertain me as well. So now we can have the entertainment that you're looking for. I think we have a society where I feel like a lot of times some women just want, I want you to bring all the entertainment. I just want to accept it and have a good time. And it's like, bring something to it. Bring effort, like you said. Bring effort into the picture. Bring something that I can carry now and put into this pot that we're trying to work on together. So
like, I run into that stuff all the time, and I'm just speaking from perspective as just like a dude, but like at dudes, AJ, we know how dudes be operating. Like, they be thinking like, you be at Jackie's and it's like a coliseum, and you see like the baddies with her friends, and be like, yeah, that's all mine. Yeah. Because like, dudes, I'll say this: we know how to make a scenario go like real quick in our head. We're like, she's already at the crib. She's already like, bro, she already on my jock. Like, we're like, and like, if I buy her this drink, this is gonna go down. Instead of being like, nah, you still gotta jump through like the hoops. And I just want to ask you, Sarah, where do you feel like, and this is just your feelings, where you feel like
Sure.
guys are entitled when it comes to this whole piece versus like self-worth?
Like, at what point do I see them become entitled?
Yeah.
I men are different. I see it a lot when, like, if a man buys you a drink, then he's entitled to conversation, or which is, I agree, of course. Um, or he's entitled to sort of following you around, or going back to you, right? A drink is a wonderful gesture. Don't get me wrong, but and I'm happy to have conversation. But there are going to be women who don't want to, or maybe you say something and it's a turn off, right? So it can start there. Um, yeah.
I kind of have a question from that. When you flip the script, is like, when do women feel entitled in that, for example, that same situation, right? When do women are like, he needs to buy me a drink type situation?
I mean, I don't feel entitled. At least I don't think I do. But maybe if we're out on a date and you know I'm used to a man being the first person to buy the round of drinks, right? Um, I would feel some entitlement around that. But it's hard. It's tough to call it entitlement because um, it's more of a negative term, and right. So I don't see it as a negative. Like, well, you have to buy me a drink because you invited me on this date. But it's certainly, welcome. I'd love if a guy did.
Sure.
Yes.
Keep it a band. Let's keep it a band. Besides what you already said, because you got your Hillary Rodham Clinton on pantsuit. I'll be paying for dates. I see you. I see you. You out here power
Not
moves.
always. Not
Not
always.
always. So I have a question where I guess not this question because I don't want you to feel like it's always directed at you, but like in our culture, there's a stereotype
Mm.
of if a guy does not pay on the first date, like drop him. Like what, sis? What are you doing? Like so, like
Sure.
why do you think that is like that? Why do we think that's like the unwritten like rule or like that's the first date? Because I'll just say, oh no, yeah, sorry, yeah, that's what I feel like the culture's unwritten rule is that.
Mm. I mean, I think a lot of that is how you were raised. I was raised in a household where my mom was the higher earner out of my parents and sort of, took care of a lot of the things like bills and things like that. So I'm used to a female sort of leading the relationship a bit. Not that, my dad didn't contribute by any means, but um, I'm so for me, I was raised in a household where, you learn to be independent on your own, and if you have a partner who contributes to your lifestyle or buys you presents or flowers or whatever it is, then that's a plus, you know. But my parents definitely raised me to be extremely independent.
Fair. I
Why? I can see you cooking over there.
I guess I'm like cooking because like just bringing it like more forward versus like entitlement versus like self-worth and like how things go and like the dynamics. I agree, it's definitely versus a nature versus nurture thing where like if I have a son and things like that, I'm like if you summon the girl, you have to if you meet all of the materials for the contract, you got to take care of everything. And I just think no, I just think not just from like a gender perspective, I think manipulation's on an all-time high where everyone's trying to get like their lick backs from like prior situations, and you just miss out with stuff where um it's just like yeah, that's why wanted to formulate that question because I feel like just feeling entitled to things ruins a lot of things from you actually genuinely getting to meet a person for who they are versus what they can bring for you. Because at the end of the day, I think for me, I stopped. I'm doing a well better job since 26 to 31 of controlling, you know, not having a man brain, being like, yeah, and being like, I actually don't want to do that, or being like, that's not cool. Like, this is what I need. So, that's where I'm at with that time check. Oh, we're doing perfect. See, I'm trying to make sure we get all the things, but I'm just curious, what is say in the same realm. I'm just curious with y'all when it comes to self worth in the same sphere, like how how does attraction play into like self worth that you all think? Like, what do you want to see from a person where you're like, man, I'm so glad that they're setting this boundary like that. Like, that's cool to me.
I think you hit the key word, self, right? Like if you can recognize in yourself what you are missing, and things that like someone else can bring to your relationship that's going to help you grow as an individual, I think that's where you kind of seek that. Well, at least I do in my relationships or my partner that I'm looking for. Like I'm gonna seek those things that can help me grow. Like how can I find somebody that's gonna do these little things that I need help with or need to work on so that I can grow, and hopefully I can give them something that's gonna help them grow too as well. So ultimately, like in a relationship, that's really what you want. You want growth. Like if there's no growth, you're actually going in the opposite direction. So like being able to find those avenues of growth across this process for me is like what I look for.
Self-worth. I would say in the presence of like a partner with self-worth. I remember, I'll never forget this. This was a pretty cool like experience, situationship that didn't turn in my favor, but this person had the audacity to know and love herself while I was on demon time. But it was really good because like I respected it where she was like, this is what I need, or I'm not going back and doing that. I think I have so much respect for a person who knows what they're about and what they're not about. And being able to be like, this is what I need, and you didn't fulfill that need, not from a standpoint of like, you lost me, insert Drake quote, blase, blase, blah, being like, this is a no, and that's okay. And I'm like, man, I hope to be like you when I grow up and and have boundaries. But I think that's very important. And then I want to talk about the actual point of self-worth, being able to know when you're in dumb decisions. I feel like a lot of people fuck up situations from not knowing themselves.
Sure.
Like 1,000%, where I'm just kind of like, I shouldn't be here tonight, but I'm here. And she's at home thinking about you. And you're like, yeah, this is cool. It's true, because you just don't know yourself. Hey, But all right, so I think to end today's episode, I don't want to go. There's another like one, but I think I'm gonna save it for another installment. But nah, no.
CB, come through.
No, this one's more fun. This is more fun.
Drop the hammer. I'm ready. I'm ready for the tough questions.
We're ready.
Bob,
That was a tough question.
we are ready.
We're ready.
We're definitely
The other
ready.
two, what I was going to throw was like, who's more romantic, men or women? And I feel like that's a great place for us to end because, there's a lot of stuff we can go with this. Because, I got a discography that I can let y'all know. The clip is long over here. I also say, I think men are more romantic than women. We just don't get enough credit.
I don't know.
What's what we doing?
I think it depends on what is the word I'm thinking of? The how you show your love. There's like acts of kindness,
Your
physical touch. What are the other two?
love language.
Yeah, your love languages. I think it depends on your love language. And also your idea of what is romantic. Because romantic to me might be, oh my gosh, I'm going on this fabulous date and he's paying for everything and he got me 2 dozen roses and whatever.
Oh, what else he doing?
He's sending me to the spa by myself.
Why he can't come? Y'all there can't be a couples massage?
Ooh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
And romantic to somebody else might be we're gonna go on a a crazy outdoor excursion and we're going to take the helicopter out, or we're going to charter a helicopter out there and it's extravagant and I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Doing over there.
So I have to kind of agree with Robert. I think men are a lot more romantic because we have to think about those things. And I feel like because women want this razzle dazzle, give you the dozen roses and all this other, we have to think about those things in order for us to really fulfill that. A woman, I don't feel like is thinking about how romantic she wants to be for her husband, because a lot of times women are like, I can go buy this lace dress with the thong, the edible thong or whatever, and
I'm like that, huh?
and we can get down, and the man is like, hell yeah, we romantic. Like, so I think sometimes there's some standards difference because I think a lot of women don't go above and beyond for men, that we have to go above and beyond for women.
I disagree with that. I think the labeling of it is, I feel like women are better nurturers, because when a woman loves you, she'll take care of you. You could be a bum. she'll make sure you're fed and things like that. But when it comes to romance, now there's a reason why Powerline is on the top of our Play No Games, because if you're all familiar with the Goofy movie, Max liked the girl. She didn't know nothing about him. And you know what he did? He's like, all right, y'all, we about to get in trouble. I need you and you. We gonna fuck up the whole school to let her know that I fuck with her. And you know what happened? He pulled it off. What happened? He got in trouble. He went on a whirlwind adventure with his dad to make sure a lie came through. Exactly. Exactly. So if he don't get a date or a kiss from that, he said that I'm gonna be dancing with Usher. And you're like, okay. And did he do it? Come on. Like, when we are trying to get women's attention, I feel like, yes, we are top tier. We not romantic. We'll write you a poem, but like once we in there, man, we some people get like, yeah, hell yeah. I feel like women are superior nurturers. Like once they're like, okay, you handling business, we get complacent. What do you think about that?
Do you think that that's just like that ties back to like your prehistoric brain? I'm getting really intellectual here. Right?
I say no. I think it's all about how you were raised, right? Like if I was raised 2-parent household and my mom always took care of my dad, and I got with my partner and she was like, sometimes that's my expectation. After I've done this and done that, it's like, that's what I'm expecting because that's what I've seen. And I think we lose sight of that, and we haven't changed the narrative behind women taking care of men, and we haven't changed that to men taking care of women. Like that narrative hasn't really switched. Those roles haven't really switched, and it's what we've seen as constant. Because I guarantee you, there's men out there who take way more care of their women than women do. Like,
I still slightly disagree with that. The reason why I slightly disagree with that is, like, I feel like as a dude, our form of what we think taken care of is different from what they see.
True.
Where
I agree.
Where I feel like, and I have to just like, I be thinking shit and things like that. It's like, I think not average dudes, but like the majority, or I say average, not like average men. I want to make sure I'm not saying that. Think that if I just pay the bills, we go out maybe like once a week, and you don't yell at me, or I take out the trash, that is taking care of business. No, you have to actively date your partner, because how you got them needs to be the same energy as how you need to keep them. Because I think we think that is nurturing, where yes, the bills are all paid, but like, how's her mental health? Because if we look at stereotypically women, right, when they talk about the second shift and shit like that, where they're like, they're working and then they're cooking, and then they're like, babe, how are you doing? Like, let me get you, stereotypically your slippers. And they're doing that nurturing energy, which I feel like guys fail at, because once again, it's a vicious cycle, because no one's in the wrong here. Where like, if I'm nurturing, do some push-ups. This is give me a rock bottom. Like, do you like? And I feel like that's why, you know, bringing up that feminine, a masculine energy where I'm like, as a dude, I feel like we gotta know when to like, all right, I don't need to be like this with her. I'm already paying the bills and like that. Let me lock in with her to being like, oh, you like hot tea before you go to sleep. That's there for you. Why are you doing that just cause?
But I think that goes back to what I'm saying. We haven't changed that narrative to say these are the uncommon. Let's make them common. We're gonna go stick to what's common and what's been old school, and this is traditional, and this is how it's supposed to be. And instead of, hey babe, I made you breakfast before work. All you gotta do is grab a plate or put it in your bag for lunch or whatever you want to do. Like, that's different. You know what I'm saying? That's different. Like, oh hey babe, you know what? I'm gonna drop you off and go grab you something. What you need? People don't think like that. People are not accustomed to seeing that. People aren't like, and I think real men nowadays are thinking like that. And I think that is where what you're saying becomes prevalent to a small group of people. And a lot of those men get taken off the market quick because they doing anything outside the box. So
Interesting, because I think when you think about men versus women traditionally, how you support each other is, you know, and traditionally men have supported financially, right? And women have supported by chores and cooking and raising children, right? But we're in an age where it doesn't have to be that way anymore. It can be, but those roles can be reversed. They can be very um, uh, convoluted, you know? So it's hard to pinpoint exactly where we are in today's world because it's you can it's just so diverse, you know.
absolutely. And I think my experience comes from my past relationship where I was that person. I was taking my ex to work every morning. I was making breakfast in the morning. I was doing all these things that you would say the woman is supposed to do, but I'm taking control of all of that aspect, and it gets tiring, it's draining. So I understand the flip side of it when you talk about the second job or whatever when it comes to women. So it's like being able to, how can we switch these roles, or not really establish roles, but trade off, right? Like, you got a 12-hour shift. When you get home, food ready, water warm, you got the bath bomb in there, take a break. You know, when you get out, I get the massage gun for you, whatever the case may be, let you chill out while we watch a show or something. Like, so like, I think we just, not enough men are thinking like that. They're not thinking outside the box to be like, you know what, let me cater her just as much as she would cater to me. And I think those relationships go a lot longer than, let me just get mine. Well, shoot, she worked 12 hours, but I'm hungry. What's up? Hey, can you just grab something? Like, you've had all this time. You could have grabbed something. You could have made something. You could have done something for her in that process. So,
Well, and that ties back into, you know, expectations versus effort. Which one is which? Um, ties back to your first question.
Hey, but planning these things, man. Next year is going to be such a phenomenal year for what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, to wrap everything up, a lot of people ask me stuff about things. And what I really ultimately want to say is I am Cartier Bomb, and I have a mission.
what?
Bob.
Bomb? What's that?
Bob. B-O-B.
B-O-M-B?
No, it's Cartier Bob. There we go.
Bartier Bob?
No. And the reason why I think these conversations are needed to have, because everyone is either this or they're that. And I'll be honest with you, I think we're a hybrid of them all. I always say that I've never met a full Democrat that doesn't have one conservative value, and vice versa. I can find it. And the reason why I say that is in our today's society, we're very much, you have to do a little bit of everything. As a dude, I do want to lead, but sometimes I maybe want to be the little spoon. I'm not gonna lie. feed me some Sour Patch Kids, yeah. I'll maybe purr, but all I'm saying is the deficit of trying to be these things that we historically know aren't healthy is killing us from the inside out. And we got to have real conversations, because the shade room says this, and then it's in your group chat, and then believe it or not, it poisons your mind to be like, man, if he ain't got 6 figures, 6 inches, and this, you're like, good. You're like, why am I on this date with this scrub? And that scrub could also be someone who is maybe the love of your life, and what you build together might be something that's sacred, because it's actually a war on relationships. And with all that being said, I want people to look at all the people on this panel, whether you agree or disagree with, we just had difficult conversations, different points of views. I'm going to have more people on who disagree with me. I had to make sure I had to shout out the feminists, because last couple episodes it's like, Robert, he believes in Andrew Tate and he hates women, and I had to make sure that I'm a champion for said women. But that's what we're going to be doing. And I just want to say, I want to thank both of you for coming on today. Hopefully y'all had fun.
Definitely.
We're gonna lasso this. We're gonna interview you next time.
Would you come back for me, Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember when I asked you, I was like, I'm gonna be on your podcast. I think I was like, I don't know, a few tequila shots deep.
Oh, see, when you don't play no games, sometimes people get liquor and then things happen, and then
Wait, what's the difference between the two?
This one's more relationship oriented, because I'm gonna be launching some of my more like strict relationship things next year. So this is kind of like, there's like one segment that I didn't do this time that I'm gonna do next time to like icebreaker, but having different people on different opinions and having real conversations about relationships, that's not horrible and not toxic. But anywho, do y'all have some ending moments or thoughts? I'm getting texts from the guys telling me to wrap it up. Giggity.
I think it's dope to have healthy conversation. I think it's important, especially to have a different perspective and the opposite sex perspective on like their side of the story, right? Because as men, we only hear our side of the story, and it becomes like a rolling stone, and like why men ain't doing this and why men ain't doing that. But we're like, man, we doing that. What you talking about? We doing this. We doing that. And then you hear it from the other side of the story, and you're like, dang, maybe I didn't do that. Maybe I didn't do it like that. Maybe I didn't say it like that. And so it just is clarity. So I think these conversations become very important, very informative, and I hope people can see the information that's been presented so that they can progress in their relationships or becoming relationships. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been very eye-opening. It's interesting to hear things from your perspectives, because I think, oh my gosh, I guess I didn't realize how much pressure men put on themselves. And that's very eye-opening. And you guys should give yourself a little more credit. And women too, But just give yourself a little more credit,
More credit. Well, this has been another smashing episode of Relationship Dynamics. Hey, we're just trying to change the world. I want to say thank you to both my panelists, and this is Cartier Bob. Look out next year. 2 major shout outs. If you're liking what we're doing, a lot of our content is on Instagram, LookHere.fri. That's where a lot of our content houses. Our brother company, Play No Games, our other brother company, Backseat Critics, our other company. Brace yourselves. We're going to be out next year with more stuff out there in your face. And if you like what we're doing, please like, comment, subscribe. And hey, when a rich nigga wants you. Anywho, we're done.
Peace.
Probably wonder if I think of you. sorry, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, for the bag that I never had. Yeah, you probably mad right now. Yeah, I got a 2-piece now. Shit, I think they call them groupies now.